Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing well and welcome back to another video. So this one will be about 8.5 minutes, or I think 8 minutes and 40 seconds, or some time close to that. But this is the first day of the first workouts of the weightlifting program, of the Weightlifting.Ai program. It's 5 weeks of strength work, and hopefully on the side you'll be seeing a nice little edited thing of the progression of the weights for snatches that I did in particular. You'll see all the white lights and all of that stuff, and you'll see that on the side as I'm going through these sets. I was happy with how it adjusted things throughout the workout. So like the beginning, that 100 was easy and it bumped me up to 110 directly. It originally had me at 96 kilograms, but I made the choice to just go to 100 initially on the first set, and then it just kind of kept me going up until I had a miss, which was all the way to the second or the third time that I did 113. The first attempt I did at 110, I gave it a 2-to-1, 2 whites and 1 red, and so it kept me there for 2 more sets. But the next 2 were easier, from just how they felt physically, but also just technically they were better. So I put the 3 whites for both of those, and then bumped me up 3 more kilos. And I gave it the 2-to-1, 1-to-2, and the 1-to-2 one it was a bit tricky, but I considered it because I had to drop the weight and it felt more difficult. So I felt like I was closer to missing, so that's why I gave it to there, not necessarily like they count as a miss. I'm counting, or at least I'm personally assessing if I have a miss, whether it's on the first or second, if it's doubles like this, for instance, as 3 reds, and then if it's a set where it's difficult, where something isn't right, felt like I was getting close to failing, then it's the 2-to-1 reds, even if it's not technically a miss. In a competition, if you got 2 reds, then it would be a bad lift, but for here it's just kind of an assessment tool. That, I believe, was my first set of 113, and then we'll see if I miss here. But snatches were difficult. I was pretty happy that it pushed me up a little bit too. Doing doubles with 113 is definitely difficult. My best cluster double here, this is definitely the 2 reds one. I remember this one because I had to drop it in between, and that was a big reason. It was more of a cluster than an actual double, and that was a big reason I gave it the 2 reds and 1 white, because I did have to drop it in between. And it wasn't so much that like I couldn't have tried to re-rack it, but if I'm trying to like catch it in between reps, how you saw on like the earlier sets, if I am like really thinking about it, then I don't want to like drop it on myself or do anything weird in between, and oftentimes it's just easier just to drop it and take a little bit more time in between. But I do believe this is one that I made. Yeah, so I made this one, but because of how much time I took in between having to drop it and all of that, that's what gave me the 2 reds. And essentially what that is telling the system is I don't want to, it wasn't easy, so I don't want to go up. And this one I tried to catch, or at least like do a continuous rep. I don't know, however I stay connected to the bar, I suppose. And then this is the one I missed, but I was just kind of gassed at this point, so I ended up missing it. But we'll see in the miss right here if I ever do the lift. Usually edit in between the reps that I do, because I sit there for 28 years. And this actually dropped me down to 107, and this looked like blues, but I think they were greens. I'm not sure. Maybe I misloaded that, but it was 107, and I missed the first rep there. I didn't bother doing the second one. I just said that I missed, and the 3 reds, and I dropped down to 100. And this actually felt really easy. I was really surprised. I thought the last set of 100 would feel really difficult. I then had block. Well, I did hangs because I was at the gym, so I didn't do the blocks. But hang above the knee power clean plus jerks, and there were 2 plus 2s. And so I just went right to 70, and then the working sets were both at 100. These are really easy. I had more of them on the second day that you'll see. Similar, or I guess it ended up being the same movement, because the second day were actually supposed to be the hang power cleans. These I just happened to do. You notice I have straps on, and that's just because they wanted me to do 2 power cleans. And if I didn't, I have never done CrossFit, so I don't have the ability to re-catch a hook grip with any sort of ability at all. I've never tried to do it. It's completely a skill that I don't have, nor do I really care to learn. If I really had to do a double and I couldn't use straps, I would just drop it and pick it back up. It's only 100 kilograms. It's not very heavy to do, which is what I've done in the past if I'm doing doubles or had to do doubles. I believe this gave me, let me check here. it just gave me the 2 sets. So this is the second set of 100 power cleans. Pretty easy. It's more hard from a technical aspect, but it wasn't really physically difficult, and the jerks were really easy. It was only 100 kilograms, so it wasn't anything that was too strenuous. It was more so just trying to move fast and move with good technique. Then after these, oh yeah, these are when the front squats started. So I just left 100 on the bar that I had there, and just did my first, just did a power clean and warm up, because it's, it's 100, it's that light. And then had me go up to, it was supposed to be 113, but I just threw 115 on there, and it was set to 6. And so I went from 115, and that was really easy. As you can see, I did a continuous set, didn't really slow down much at all. So I put the 5 reps in reserve, and it bumped me up to, I want to say it bumped me up to like 119, but I just went up to 120. Sometimes it's just easier just to make a slightly bigger jump. I mean, 1 kilo is not really that big of a deal when you're doing sets of 6. And this one, again, was easy. I did it pretty continuously. And then it bumped me up to 126, which normally I would have just left 125 on there. But because of the fact that I had the 1 kilo bar there, I just threw that on there. So this is the end of the set. My computer froze for a brief second, so I wasn't sure if I was still talking over the actual exercise I did, but I didn't get the last 3 reps. The last 2 movements I had were hip thrust and good mornings, and I did the good mornings before I did the hip thrust. I just did them all with 70 kilos just because I haven't done this movement in a very long time, and my lower back was pretty fried. I'm not going to bother editing the video, but I did some heavy deadlifts the previous day. I wasn't planning on doing much on this particular Sunday, but the program or the app opened up a day early. It's supposed to be on Monday, but I noticed that I could do all the workouts and like add all the weights and stuff, so I decided to get started on it. But my lower back was not really in pain, it was just fried, so I was getting pretty pumped from doing these good mornings. Wasn't really feeling it too much in my hamstrings, but that's just kind of what it is. So it's probably a weight that I'm not really too terribly worried about, the weight that I use on good mornings. It's more of just, I don't know, for me it's more of a back exercise. I don't really ever feel it in my hamstrings, and it could just be the way that I do it, but I'm not really worried about loading these too much. My back and posterior routine is extremely strong, so it's not like it's terrible weakness. I then ended with some hip thrusts. There's a machine actually, or there is a machine for it at the gym. If I'm not at the gym, I obviously will have to find a substitute, but this was probably the first time doing this in a couple of years. I did it at the old gym I was at a couple times, but you see I started with a really light weight, just 90 pounds, and then went up to, or that was 50 pounds, this was 90 pounds, and it was just 3 sets of 10. So it was actually pretty easy. Last set was a little bit more difficult, but it was more so the belt pushing on my stomach that was a little bit more painful than the actual movement itself. Again, this is just the accessory work that they recommended, so I was just doing it on there. Not really that difficult to do. My glutes and everything are a pretty strong aspect of my body, so I think I could have locked out a little bit more, but like I mentioned, it was a little bit belt pain. I don't know. It was just like pinching in an odd way, but it could just been the way that the belt was on. This was my first time ever using it at this gym, so it is what it is with that. But that is the first day of the plan. So this was, I didn't mean to swap that out, but it was day 1, 68% intensity in week 1 of 5 of the strength base. But hopefully you're able to see the stuff on the side without it being too difficult or too granular to see. But that is day 1, so I'll talk to you all in the next one. Have a great blah. As I stumble over my words at the very end, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Peace.